To discuss our proposal, I yield 4 minutes to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Deutch.
Gentleman from Florida is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my friend from Colorado for yielding. I rise to urge the defeat of the motion on ordering the previous question on this rule. Most Americans would be outraged to see the 113th Congress, on track to be the most unproductive Congress in this nation's history, returned from a 5-week recess only to waste more time. Yet that's what's happening today with the GOP's 53rd attack on the Affordable Care Act. We could be doing so much more. We could stand up against special interests and advance the American people's priorities. We could raise the minimum wage to prevent big corporations from paying workers starvation wages. We could stand up to the gun lobby and pass background checks to stop criminals from buying guns online. We could stand up to companies that use fancy corporate inversions to skirt their responsibility to pay taxes towards American infrastructure, American schools, and American research. Yet these priorities will just as surely go ignored in this 113th Congress as they did in the 112th Congress. Mr. Speaker, it's no coincidence that we're not dealing with the people's business today. Since the 2010 Supreme Court decision in Citizens United, Congress has become mired in dysfunction. The People's House is now paralyzed by the threat of attacks from corporations and a handful of billionaires with their super PACs and their secret front groups. When members spend more time fundraising and dodging super PAC attack ads than working on bipartisan solutions and championing their constituents' priorities, our democracy is dysfunctional. And that dysfunction is a form of corruption. It's money from the left and the right, and it is only getting worse. This year, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in McCutcheon that the wealthy have a right to hold more influence over elected officials than actual voters. This idea threatens our entire system of elected self-government, and we have an opportunity to take action today. I urge my colleagues to do the courageous thing, to do the right thing. Join me to support the Democracy for All Amendment, H.J. Res. 119, to amend our Constitution and overturn these destructive Supreme Court rulings. In the Senate this week, our colleagues are considering Senator Udall's companion to my constitutional amendment. And while the Senate has this important debate about money and politics, this House is rehashing tired, old attacks on Obamacare that everyone is sick of. The Democracy for All Amendment is simple. It says that the American people have a right to pass laws protecting the integrity of our elections by limiting money in politics. It's time to get money out and voters in and end this pay-to-play democracy. I urge my colleagues to vote against the motion ordering the previous question, to allow consideration of the Democracy for All Amendment to overturn Citizens United and allow the American people, and not the special interests, to once again set the agenda in Washington. Mr. Speaker, our Bill of Rights guarantees free speech, but free speech is not free if only the wealthy can afford it. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back.